All right. I'm going to show you a couple of images from a very diverting paper in the Journal of Ultrasound in Medicine. I'm going to go way out on a limb and say that it is the most diverting paper ever published in the Journal of Ultrasound in Medicine. The title is Observations of In Utero Masturbation. Okay, now on the left, you can see the hand, that's the big arrow, and the penis on the right, the hand hovering. And over here we have, in the words of radiologist Israel Meisner, the hand grasping the penis in a fashion resembling masturbation movements. Bear in mind, this was an ultrasound, so it would have been moving images. And orgasm is a reflex of the autonomic nervous system. Now, this is the part of the nervous system that deals with the things that we don't consciously control, like digestion, heart rate, and sexual arousal. And the orgasm reflex can be triggered by a surprisingly broad range of input. Genital stimulation, duh. But also, Kinsey interviewed a woman who could be brought to orgasm by having someone stroke her eyebrow. People with spinal cord injuries, like paraplegias, quadriplegias, will often develop a very, very sensitive area right above the level of their injury, wherever that is. There's such a thing as a knee orgasm in the literature. I think the most curious one that I came across was it was a case report of a woman who had an orgasm every time she brushed her teeth. This was something in the complex sensory motor action of brushing her teeth was triggering orgasm. And she went to a neurologist who was fascinated, and he checked to see if it was something in the toothpaste, but no, it happened with any brand. They stimulated her gums with a toothpick to see if that was doing it. Nope, it was the whole, motion. And the amazing thing to me is that you would think this woman would have excellent oral hygiene. Sadly, this is what it said in the journal paper. She believed that she was possessed by demons and switched to mouthwash for her oral care. It's so sad. I interviewed, when I was working on the book, I interviewed a woman who can think herself to orgasm. She was part of a study at Rutgers University. Gotta love that, Rutgers. And so I interviewed her in Oakland in a sushi restaurant. And I said, so could you do it right here? And she said, yeah, but I'd rather finish my meal if you don't mind. But afterwards, she was kind enough to demonstrate on a bench outside. It was remarkable. It took about 1 minute. And I said to her, are you just doing this all the time? She said, no, honestly, when I get home, I'm usually too tired. She said that the last time she had done it was on the Disneyland tram. I don't know. The headquarters for orgasm along the spinal nerve is something called the sacral nerve root, which is back here. And if you stimulate with an electrode the precise spot, you will trigger an orgasm. And it is a fact that you can trigger spinal reflexes in dead people. A certain kind of dead person, a beating heart cadaver, and this is somebody who is brain dead, legally dead, definitely checked out, but is being kept alive on a respirator so that their organs will be oxygenated for transplantation. Now, in one of these brain dead people, if you trigger the right spot, you will see something every now and then. It's a reflex called the Lazarus reflex, and I'll demonstrate as best I can, not being dead. It's like this. You trigger the spot, the dead guy or gal goes like that. Very unsettling for people working in pathology labs. Now, if you can trigger the Lazarus reflex in a dead person, why not the orgasm reflex? I asked this question to a brain death expert, Stephanie Mann, who was foolish enough to return my emails. I said, so could you conceivably, trigger an orgasm in a dead person? And she said, yes, if the sacral nerve is being oxygenated, you conceivably could. And obviously it wouldn't be as much fun for the person, but it would be an orgasm nonetheless. I actually suggested to, there's a researcher at the University of Alabama who does orgasm research, and I said to her, you should do an experiment. You can get cadavers if you work in a university. I said, you should actually do this. She said, you get the Human Subjects Review Board approval for this one. According to 1930s marriage manual author Theodore van de Velde, a slight seminal odor can be detected on the breath of a woman within about an hour after sexual intercourse. Theodore van de Velde was something of a semen connoisseur. This is a guy writing a book, Ideal Marriage, very heavy hetero guy. But he wrote in this book, Ideal Marriage, he said that he could differentiate between the semen of a young man, which he said had a fresh, exhilarating smell, and the semen of mature men whose semen smelled, quote, remarkably like that of the flowers of the Spanish chestnut, sometimes quite freshly floral, and then again, sometimes extremely pungent. Okay, in 1999, in the state of Israel, a man began hiccuping. And this was one of those cases. It went on and on. He tried everything his friends suggested. Nothing seemed to help. Days went by. At a certain point, the man, still hiccuping, had sex with his wife. And lo and behold, the hiccups went away. And he told his doctor, who published a case report in a Canadian medical journal under the title, Sexual Intercourse is a Potential Treatment for Intractable Hiccups. I love this article because at a certain point they suggested that unattached hiccupers could try masturbation. I love that because there's like a whole demographic, unattached hiccupers. Married, single, unattached hiccuper.